Alright guys, Papa Pepper here out at An American Homestead, and this place is absolutely incredible. Part of it just being the fact that it's a lot of just raw, untamed land, and what you find in situations like that is usually a good biodiversity of all sorts of different creatures. Been herping here for a couple days now, and I've found some species I've never seen before in my life. I saw some old friends, found some incredible stuff, and just want to share some of that with you now. So what I'll do is just kind of show you a couple different things, share a little bit about them, and then let them go. And I'll do a little bit of filming of them, just kind of in their natural environment, and play that at the end. So I'm going to start off with just a couple different insects and other things, but this one here is one I've been talking to some people about. If you can see it, it's a hoverfly, but the hoverfly looks a lot like a hornet. So, sounds like a hornet, looks like a hornet, people are afraid of it, but it's actually a fly that just happens to be the colors of like a yellow jacket or something like that. Of course, another cool one to see always is the praying mantis. This one is very cool and kind of the bark colored type of praying mantis. We've got a lot of different species around here, and just to see them and find them is something that's always fun for me. They're definitely a very peculiar creature. Oh, here's another hoverfly. Let me see if it'll land in my hand. Yeah, it's buzzing around. Nothing yet. Come here, buddy. Almost. But yeah, praying mantis, absolutely cool. Always great to see. Then I ran into an old friend I hadn't seen since New Orleans. Back in 2005 probably was the last time I saw something like this. But this is Narcy Americana, the American giant centipede. I did do a video on this for my Wild Man's Wild Friends video series, episode 75 actually. Just checking out this incredible creature. This one's probably about 3.5 to 4 inches long. Really impressive, very cool to see, and one that I hadn't seen in forever. These guys can live like a decade. More information about that on my my video about these guys. And then, of course, stick insects are always fun to see. Here we've got two. Whoa! Here we've got two. The smaller male here in this hand, and the larger female here. I love the colors that these guys get on them too. The little red racing stripes up the back and stuff. Just a lot of cool insects, a lot of cool creepy crawlies out here. Good stuff to see, and definitely, you know, just members of the natural world, members of the ecosystem. They all got jobs to do. The salamanders have been absolutely incredible. Spotted salamander, I think I've only seen one of these in Arkansas. We used to find them up in Wisconsin too. They're one of the 7 native species of salamanders in Wisconsin. Here is that spotted salamander, so a black creature, yellow polka dots, very cool. These guys are mole salamanders, so most of their life they spend underground, in tunnels. And they'll come out during the rainy, you know, springtime to breed and stuff like that. That's when most people encounter them. This one we flipped under a rock, and just its head was peeking out of a hole, and it started going back down into it, and I managed to get it. These guys have been big in the pet trade. Very cool thing. They can get up to like 10 inches, and they're really good at regrowing their body parts too, so even if part of their head or brain gets cut off, they can sit there and regrow it, which is, you know, absolutely insane, but it's reality, is what happens. Then we didn't find any of these till recently. We didn't see them when we were finding the salamanders at first, but we actually found a number of ringed salamanders, which I think is kind of native only to the Ozarks and considered to be a rather rare salamander. In our neck of the woods, they are the most common ones that we find. And then we found 3 of these guys here too. There's one. Here's another. They're a little dirty, but here's another. Just beautiful, and what a big fat tail. These guys are definitely healthy little salamanders. Let me see if I can find the last one for you. There we go. And here's the other one, another big, more duller color one. Sometimes they'll be more vibrant than this guy on the yellow bands, but yeah, it's just a very cool salamander. happy to see. A lot of times when the ecosystem starts to get contaminated, starts to get polluted a lot, amphibians are the first things to go because they're absorbing all the toxins that are put into the environment through their skin, and then they often die first. So to see so many is a good sign of what's going on here. And of course, the more natural things are, the more undisturbed, the less, you know, pollution, the stuff that people do, the better it is for creatures like that, and they can actually thrive rather than just survive. Now this guy was a real treat just because you're hard pressed to find a bigger, more beautiful skink in these parts. Oh, he is tough. He's probably gonna bite me in a second, but this is a broadhead skink. You can see how broad that head is. It almost looks like, you know, if it was a snake, like it would have here. Yeah, go for it. Like it would have almost venom sacs on the back of its head there. But a broadhead skink, very big, beautiful one. These guys can regrow their tails. This one, I would say, has never lost its tail just because of how uniform and kind of flawless and smooth it is. So I definitely want to be careful in handling him because if he sheds his tail, that's not going to be a good thing for it. But an absolutely beautiful creature, massive size, especially compared to some of the skinks around here. You know, we got a walking stick crawling on the camera right now. Come here, buddy. Oops. You know what? I think it'll just pass in a second. There you go. It's passed. But yeah, broadhead skink. Very cool. I think we found 4 species of lizards here. This is, ouch, the biggest one. So very cool to see. Ouch. And then we found some salamanders that I had never met before in my entire life. I believe these are the western slimy salamanders. To me, they almost look like a starry night. They are very, very beautiful. They kind of almost remind me of the blue spotted salamanders we'd have back up in Wisconsin. But the spots are much smaller and they're much lighter too. You guys can see those. I think these are western slimies. Like I said, it's the first time finding them, but very cool. A couple beautiful, beautiful specimens. And then we got some Ozark Zigzags too. So we found a number of these tiny little guys who just got a little bit of a red highlight heading down their tail. And this should be the the Ozark Zigzag salamander. So I'd never encountered them before. Definitely knew they were in my area and available to be found. We just had never really been anywhere we were able to flip any yet. But we found a number of these, probably 6 or 7. So pretty cool to see. Definitely excited about just meeting new creatures that we haven't met that God created. Just absolutely amazing. And what a cute little guy. So I'll do a full video about these guys too and just give you guys some more in-depth information about them. And while we're out here, we're cooking on a fire. So we made a big rock fire pit right away. And Red Pepper found this tiny little newt, like right away under one of the first rocks. I think we found this newt and a couple lizards and a snake just building our fire pit. So that was pretty cool. I don't think I've seen one this small that was terrestrial before. Very, very cute little guy. So of course things like toads are pretty common in a lot of places, but it is cool to see them and check them out too. So been seeing some of these guys. We definitely like having them around our place and just part of our organic pest control posse. And these big camel or cave crickets are really cool too. There's a lot of them around here. Rather impressive for a cricket. Absolutely kind of interesting and beautiful creature. They're under a lot of the rocks we find too, so some of the larger creatures are going to be eating them as something they prey upon. But a lot of these smaller salamanders and lizards are going to be eaten by the snakes and larger ones too, so kind of cool to see these guys. And there are definitely a good amount of prairie lizards around here. The eastern fence lizard, those guys are super cool and very different looking compared to, you know, a lot of the skinks we have around here, different kind of lizard. So very cool. A high density of these guys in a lot of the area. So I'm not exactly surprised to be finding a lot of these guys out sunning themselves on deadfalls and other things, and they run away when you come up to them and hide somewhere else. So they're hard to catch when it's a hot sunny day, but on a cooler day, you know, when they're hiding under rocks or logs, it's a little easier to find them and catch them. So 5-line skinks were another one that we had up in Wisconsin that are also down here, and they're a very, easy to recognize lizard. I love that tail that they have, and they've got the black body with the yellow lines. They've got kind of that Y on the back of their neck, but I love that coloration. Absolutely fantastic to be walking through the woods and just stumble upon something with a beautiful electric blue tail. Just absolutely fantastic. They look kind of like a garter snake or a ribbon snake, kind of with the regular pattern up top, but the youngs and then the female will have these beautiful tails, and there's a lot of these running around. And then a lot of the little brown skinks too, and these are probably the most salamander looking of the lizards around here. So you can see it's just got little legs. This one's another one that hasn't lost its tail yet. Look at that, the other stick insects crawling on top of the camera now. But yeah, little brown skinks, fairly common at our homestead, and a lot of those around here too. And then the snakes. Okay, we found at least 5 species of salamanders here. We found 4 species of lizards here. Found a number of other things, but we've also got 4 species of snakes that we've been able to find while we've been here. So this one is one that until recently I'd never seen, and it's like the most common one out here that we've been finding, but it's an earth snake. I'll have to do a little more research, see whether it's the rough earth snake, which is what I think it is, or maybe even the smooth earth snake, but it's an earth snake. Again, I'm not exactly familiar with all the creatures down here. I didn't grow up here, and I'm just getting exposed to these guys. First one of these I ever found was in Dardanelle, Arkansas, a little bit ago when I went for a work trip, and I had a little extra time to go alongside the banks of the Arkansas River and do a little herping. So this earth snake, very cool, very peculiar. Definitely like seeing them. Another just small, non-venomous little thing that's running around here taking care of some of the insects, and we found quite a few of these, probably not 10, but heading up towards that number. And then a ribbon snake. Ribbon snakes and garter snakes, they're pretty common across stuff. Somebody had seen one of these while they were walking on one of the paths. We finally flipped one yesterday. My 6-year-old monster truck, he was able to find it, so pretty common across a lot of, Canada, North America, United States. One that a lot of people are familiar with, and really easy to kind of tell the difference between this and a lot of the other snakes, just with the long yellow lines running the length of the body. And this is another one that we had up in Wisconsin too, the red-bellied snake. And absolutely beautiful on the belly, brown on the back. We haven't found any decay snakes, but we did find a number of these. And these ones give live birth. They lay like a little almost gel pack, tic tac size little thing with the babies. I think we found probably 4 or 5 of these. So beautiful snake, good to see. Here's a little bit bigger earth snake to give you guys an idea about that. They look similar to some of these other guys, but they got kind of that pale creamy belly. And then here's a larger red-bellied. You can see same thing going on there. They're one of the ones we always enjoyed catching as kids. I think this is a larger female. They don't get entirely larger than this, but for such a drab, kind of just regular plain brown snake on top, to look underneath and see that vibrant color is kind of like those tails on the skinks, something that I really appreciate and really have enjoyed. And then the ringneck snake. This is a snake that I was never able to actually locate up in Wisconsin, although we did have them there. They're one of the most common ones we find in our area. This one, okay, does have the spots on the belly, so it's got orange belly that heads to like a bright orange or even red tip to the tail. They'll actually coil that up sometimes and kind of use it as a defense mechanism. But again, vibrant and very striking for kind of just some wild creature out here. And then if you look, they do have that little ring on their neck where they get their name from. So the ringneck snake. And the cool thing about some of these little snakes too is that they'll feast on things, they will eat earthworms, but they'll also feast on things like slugs and snails. And even with the red bellies, they got teeth that help them extract the snail from the snail shell. So we, on our homestead, we let a lot of them just go in the garden area. Figure they can cut down the amount of slugs and snails we have up in that area and just be a blessing to us as they do some of the pest control and less things for us to worry about. So guys, 4 species of snakes, 4 species of lizards, 5 species of salamanders, and a number of other things. There also is rattlesnakes around here, full-size rattlesnakes and other things. We'll see what else we find while we're here, but I'm just blessed to be able to be here this week, check it out, and just kind of scope a different area. This is kind of my natural environment, to be out in the wild, out in the woods, interacting with creation rather than in the concrete jungle. So something I enjoy. For those of you who do enjoy this type of stuff, or at least appreciate seeing it and learning about it, to me it just testifies of our creator's creativity and how amazing he is with all the diversity. It didn't have to be like this, but he chose to make things this way. And I like, from the littlest, creepiest thing to, the most big, beautiful, giraffe or elephant or other things. It's wonderful just to be a part of it all. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'll let a little bit of video of these guys roll as an outro, and we'll see you next time. Papa out.